If your nervous system is dysregulated, it's not just stress, it's killing your focus, your relationships, and your potential. In this episode, I'm going to give you the straight goods of how to permanently fix this so that you can reclaim your experience of life. And I promise it's not going to take you 20 years of meditation. I'm going to give you an acronym later in this episode, hint, that's the solution to fix this, that gives you a practical tool that you can use today. In this episode, we're going to go over three things. The first thing is, Mike, what is dysregulation? We got to know what it looks like and the symptoms and how it shows up to be able to name it, first of all. Then we're going to go into why. Why are we dysregulated? Why do we get dysregulated? And number three, we're going into the simple fix that I talked about already. I want to start off by saying that it's really hard to change or do anything new and different if we don't have a strong enough why. So if you haven't already watched my previous video where I give you the 3 incentives on why you would want to learn how to regulate your nervous system, go give that a watch now. Because when you have your strong why, you are going to have so much more energy to support you now in the how. This video is about the how. In order to fix the dysregulation, we first need to understand what it looks like. And in everyday life, with the clients that I've worked with over the years, there's these really common qualities in how it shows up. Some of the ways that may tell you that you are in a dysregulated state is if you are in confronting situations and you can't seem to use your words. You seem to freeze and maybe get a bit confused. Maybe your system goes into a bit of a collapse where you want to mobilize, you want to do something, but it's so hard to get moving. This is called collapse. Other ways you may know you're dysregulated is little quick bouts of anger or agitation, or hard to sit still, or hard to focus on one thing. Maybe you need to keep busy and you can't just slow down and be. Maybe that's too uncomfortable. Maybe there's this quality of procrastination. Like in your head, you know there's something you need to do, but you can't seem to find your way to make yourself go and do the thing that you know you need to do. These are some of the ways that you may know you're dysregulated. Another way of knowing is something doesn't feel right. When we are regulated, some of the things that we will feel is empowered, excited, joyful, pleasurable, happy, energy that wants to move into some sort of inspirational act. When you're dysregulated, sometimes there can be this feeling of, I have lots of energy, but I'm also tired at the same time. Another way of looking at it is driving with your foot on the gas and the brake. And that is exhausting. This is what leads to a lot of burnout for people. Understanding dysregulation and what it looks like, we now need to explore why this happens. Well, we have a nervous system, and that's the thing that keeps us safe. This is the animal part of our body. And if we go back far enough, it was really supportive and serving to us, especially when our whole function as a human being was just survival. Really intense elements. There's exposed to predators in whatever environment our ancestors were living in. Whereas now we don't really have those same dangers like we used to. We have homes and fences and cars. We're very well protected and resourced. We go to grocery stores for our food. We don't have to hunt and gather. We just go and swipe our credit card and food just ends up in our bags and we get to go home and eat it. So we're actually living quite a safe life. Now, the thing is, so many people are still in an alarming state. And why this happens is if we are not emotionally attuned to when we are growing up, or if we've had really big traumatic events and we weren't held in those events well, so that our body could integrate the experience, how that logs is a dysregulation in the nervous system, freeze, numbness, shutdown, dissociation, and it'll surface over and over and over again. Most people in the world are walking around in a dysregulated state and don't even know it, and then trying to find all these things to self-soothe it. Now, other reasons why this dysregulation happens is we are so inundated in our current day culture with instant gratification, with even the colored emojis on our phones are scientifically engineered to distract our attention. Our foods are we are this is a whole nother video, but we are drip fed in all of our foods, in processed foods, all these little ingredients of toxicity. And all of those little bits of toxicity and added sugar and citric acid, which I won't even get into that, artificial flavors, and all these things in the food industry that are sneakily snuck in create a lot of extra bandwidth in our body. And then that creates a dysregulation because our body is functioning at a lower state. So another way of looking at this is it's like trying to start your vehicle with a battery that's like 6 years old and it's lost its juice, and you go to try to crank it over. It's like woo, 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 woo. That lack of energy makes it hard for that engine to start, and we're no different. If our system is taxed, then it puts us into a state of dysregulation. It takes away from our resource. So that's another reason why. Now, if you stuck around till here, I'm celebrating you and I'm excited for you because I'm going to give you this simple acronym that will completely change your life if you practice this. And the acronym is A.I.R. A stands for awareness, I stands for interrupt, and R stands for release. So A. When we're moving around in our day-to-day life, so many of us don't even know what it looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like when we're dysregulated. So the first important ingredient is to get into an awareness of us being dysregulated. I'll use last night as an example. My son he's just about 4, and he was having big feelings and didn't like a boundary that my partner had laid out. And when my partner wasn't looking, he threw a toy really, really, really hard, and it almost hit her, and it was dangerous. And so I came to the situation to be the protection and the barrier. That's the role of the father. So I came to bring in safety. Now, I had to notice and invoke my awareness to know, for me to catch where I was becoming dysregulated, because my automatic default was this primal part of me that wanted to put power over him and punish him or get mad at him. And that's not helpful, because what that ends up doing is my dysregulation then feeds his dysregulation. The reason he threw the toy is because he was dysregulated. My role is to help him regulate. And so, following this acronym of A.I.R, my first step was awareness. I'm noticing I'm getting a bit dysregulated. And then what I did was going into the second step of this, which is interrupt. First step is aware I'm starting to become dysregulated. And then step 2 was, I'm going to interrupt this with the breath. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been breathing tightly in my chest. My hands are kind of clenching. And I lengthened my breath. And I felt my feet on the floor. And when we go into I interrupt, the thing that we're wanting to interrupt the dysregulation with is points of safety. So different ways that you can do this is, sometimes I'll just start rubbing my arms, and I'll just feel that sensation of my hand rubbing my skin. Oh, and there's these receptors under our skin actually that send these signals through our body, which will release this natural pain reliever and soother. It starts to bring us down into regulation. In other ways is touching the face, audible exhales, shaking the hands can be helpful. Anything that can help you feel safe in little ways. We want to, the interrupt is interrupting with small points of safety. And then once I did this, I had clear thoughts and insight of how to be with my son in this situation. And so I separated him from the situation, brought him into our bedroom, closed the door, sat on the ground because I could then feel and focus with my weight of my body, my butt on the floor, my back against the door. And then I just made eye contact because that's another point of safety is when we're making eye contact, what we're turning on is our ventral vagal. It's our social engagement system, which tells us we are safe. And then making that eye contact and me breathing slowly brought in what I wanted to do, what I wanted to say. But the most important thing of what I was mirroring was the regulation of my nervous system so that he could feel that, which is going to be the thing that guides him back into regulation. And then we go into R, which is release. For me, in this situation, my out breaths were my release, discharging some of the tension and the cortisol that was rushing through my body with that first initial hit. And release and let go, release and let go. And what's so interesting is by doing this, by following this A.I.R, awareness, interrupt, and release, I felt calm in my body in a situation where my son was still quite dysregulated. And what it gave me was a fully functional, coherent brain where I could access my prefrontal cortex, which was cool because this was one of the most profound experiences I've had with my son up to this date. Because wisdom started to flow through me and I was able to guide him and explain to him his misuse of power and how that's not okay, and that we are going to stay in this connection, just breathing together until his system feels calm. And then I guided and let him know that once he's calm, we're going to walk out of this room and he's going to apologize. And I asked him why he would want to apologize. And he said, well, because I almost hurt mama. And he had his own insights once his system got down to a regulation. And my friends, this is what we all needed growing up that most of us didn't get, which is why you're probably watching this video, is you weren't given the lived experience, which is where the tool would have landed for you of A.I.R, awareness, interrupt, and release. And if we didn't feel it from another person, it doesn't turn it on inside of us. So I'm going to invite you to now use this in your day-to-day and practice again and again and again. The more you repeat this and practice this, that's what creates the repatterning. The name of the game is repatterning. And this is in the day-to-day moments when we notice we're dysregulated. This is why meditating for so many years actually doesn't create a more regulated nervous system. It helps, but it's not the fix in the day-to-day stressors. We need to practice the thing in the day-to-day stressors. We need to practice down-regulating by bringing in A.I.R, a sacred pause, awareness that we're dysregulated, because clarity is power. If we have awareness that it's happening, we now have choice of what to do about it, which means guiding our own bodies and nervous systems into the interruption. Interrupt the stress response, the threat response, to anchor into something that feels safer, that feels soothing. Again, contact, box breathing, which is an equal number count in, hold, out, hold, or extending the exhale longer than the inhale, touching the face, humming, stomping your feet on the ground, shaking. These are all interruptions. And then release. Release the energy, shake, stretch, move your head around so that you can trigger your body. And a powerful thing to add here is saying out loud or inside to yourself is, I'm safe. I'm here. I'm an adult and I'm safe. Everything settles. And every time you do that in a situation where dysregulation is happening, you're building a whole new firing sequence in your brain, in your nervous system, which is training yourself to know what it feels like to be safe, to downregulate. That, my friends, is the permanent fix.